And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Ahoy, listeners and fans. Welcome back to RBLR Sports with the RBLR Bucs crew. My name is Musab, and after a well-needed bye week, we are back in action for the second half of the season, folks. The Bucs have had their share of tough losses, but you know what they say, the past is the past. It's week 12, and we're looking forward and hoping for the best as we continue our journey through this rest of the season. Well, the ship has set sail once again, my friends, and while the waters have been a bit rough, we're still steering through the waves. It hasn't been an easy road, but hey, we're still standing, and it's all about taking things 1 week at a time now. The goal is clear: stay competitive, finish strong, and make sure we're at the top of this crappy NFC South mountain. You feel me? All right, well, you already know I'm not steering this ship solo tonight. I never am. I got my two absolute legendary co-hosts riding shotgun with me. First up, we got the breakdown master himself, the guy who sees the game like it's on a cheat code, Mr. Zach Blaine. What's the good word, my friend? How are you?
Hey, you know what? I'm pretty good, brother. I can't complain after coming and it not being a loss last week. So
yeah, it's nice to know that. Yeah, we didn't have to take another L this past weekend. I don't know if you had any other fun activities to do to keep you busy. I'm not sure how you're doing on fantasy. I think you're doing much better than I am.
not much better.
I remember. Not much better. Okay.
I'm down there. I'm not doing great this year. The returning champ is struggling. We'll say that for sure.
Okay. Well, that being said, can't forget the glue that holds this crew together, the fearless leader charting our course, Mr. Carter Brantley. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. How about y'all? I hope our viewers and our listeners are doing well, but really hope y'all are doing well. You guys all right?
Yep, hanging in there. Just
other than the fantasy woes. Yeah, for sure.
Better than the Rays are doing right now. I'll tell you.
Yeah. We won't talk about that. That's depressing for all parties involved. But we'll talk about a good thing. The Bucs didn't lose this week. It was a bye week, like Mr. Tariq said, a much needed bye week. The Bucs are hoping to get healthy. Obviously, Mike Evans is due to come back this week. Sorry, I got a kitten down here, and I got to get her toy. But the Bucs are looking kind of nice in regards to getting healthy. That's really good news because Jamel Dean is supposed to come back. Tristan Wirfs is already practicing, which I was expecting him to be out multiple weeks, even after the bye week, honestly. So the fact that he's practicing at all is a huge step forward. Even if he misses this week, that means that hopefully he'll be back next week, which would be outstanding. It was kind of a weird week for all football teams. The Kansas City finally lost. The Atlanta Falcons lost to the Denver Broncos. Broncos are surging. I tell you what, Bo Nix looks like he might be a contender for Rookie of the Year. Obviously, Jaden Daniels was thought to be a runaway, but Bo Nix just submitted another fantastic performance. The low average depth of target, 2 of his touchdowns were throws behind the line of scrimmage. Who cares? They're winning, so it's all good. But I did want to ask y'all, with the Falcons losing to the Broncos, the Falcons, they're weird. They're a weird team. They're just as weird as the Bucs. Does the division still kind of seem within reach? I mean, maybe the loss doesn't really affect your view of that, but Mr. Treek, I'll start with you, man. How did this Falcons loss to the Broncos affect your view of whether or not the Bucs can compete for the NFC South?
Yeah, I mean, this Falcons loss was definitely big for us. I mean, looking at both schedules for the for the rest of the season, I think we should definitely be able to get 10 wins in. I got the Falcons actually going 9-8, but I'll tell you this: you never know. The only thing that's weirder than the Falcons is the Buccaneers. But just looking at the schedule real quick, I mean, I can kind of just drop my little quick hot takes. We got the Giants win, Panthers win, Raiders, I got them winning. Chargers, I got us possibly taking an L, at least as of right now. Cowboys win, Panthers win. Saints, Buccaneers, that one's going to be interesting. I'm gonna lean win. And then, I mean, Falcons, though, it's looking a little different. Chargers, I got L. Vikings, L. Going against the Raiders, I got them winning. Giants winning. Falcons and Commanders, I think they're going to take a loss. And then, I think they'll win
against the Panthers as their last game of the season. So I think it's going to be a close battle, but I think it's definitely possible for us for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, going into this bye week, I think a lot of people were kind of down and kind of thinking, oh man, the Bucs just lost like 5 out of 6 or whatever I forget the exact number, but and understandably so. Like, it's tough to watch a team lose that much and think, oh, they could still make the playoffs. Like, I feel you. It's frustrating, but big picture, yeah, Musab, you're absolutely right on the money. If they have basically like 1 or 2 banked losses, I like to call them, remaining, and with the opponents that they've got, that's very possible. But Mr. Blaine, I know you've got Hazel. Maybe she can chime in as well. What are your thoughts on the Bucs' prospects of winning this division after this Falcons loss to the Broncos?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a close call. I don't think any team is going to run away with it. I don't see the Falcons running away with it, and I don't see us winning out and running away with it. So I think it's going to be interesting, to say the least. I agree that we have a much easier, kind of to go along with what Musab said, we have a much easier remaining schedule than really anybody in the league. So that's a plus. And I think the Falcons have a relatively difficult rest of the schedule. So I think it's going to be a fun one to kind of be around for, as long as we can stay away from any other injuries.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Injuries always going to play a big part in the NFL. And I do think a big thing to note is that the Bucs, since they lost both games to the Falcons, they do not have the tiebreaker. So like however many games back they are, you got to add one. So I think the Falcons are 6-5, Bucs are 4-6. I can't do mental math right now, but yeah, it should come down to the wire. I mean, these two teams are both really talented, but also really weirdly inconsistent. So yeah, it should be really interesting. But another division team to watch, the Saints. I mean, my goodness, they had a really, really good week. Derek Carr has looked great. They look like they've sort of recaptured some of that magic that they had at the beginning of the year when they were blowing teams out. They blew out the Browns this past weekend, who, the Browns aren't really great, but they're also not, a rollover team. Like, they could beat anybody really at any given time with that defense. So I was really impressed with the Saints. So Mr. Blaine, I'll start with you, man, because you're kind of the resident Saints hater. Do you think that maybe your opinion of them has elevated a little bit, maybe now that Carr's come back and he's healthy, or you're still like, it's still the Saints? You know what I mean?
I mean, a little bit of both. Like, yeah, it's still the Saints, but Derek Carr is a better quarterback than Spencer Rattler. So
yeah, for sure. He's an upgrade. Absolutely.
Stop it, crazy. Yeah, do you think the Saints are going to win? You think the Saints are going to win? Nope. All right.
Well, they have a bye week this week, so they don't even.
Okay, so they're going to lose.
That's probably why she didn't say anything.
That's right. Exactly. You're silent. She said, "Hey, Papa, that's a trick question. I think you're trying to trick me on live television." Hazel does indeed know ball. She said, "Nope, they're on a bye week. I have Marquez Valdez-Scantling on my fantasy team. She knows. But yeah, I'm with you. It's kind of a little bit of both, because they have a big injury bug with their age. They don't have a young roster. So any given time, I mean, especially with Derek Carr, he's already missed time with an injury. He missed time last year with an injury. So it's just weird. Taysom Hill, though, he had quite his signature Swiss Army knife type of game, which was a lot of fun. So we'll see how that plays out moving forward. But Musab, do you think maybe the Saints could make some noise and maybe try to compete with a playoff spot? Like, the NFC is kind of wide open right now. So what are your thoughts on the Saints moving forward now that Derek Carr is back at the helm?
I think it's possible, but to be honest, I'm just gonna have to see a little bit more. I mean, I don't want to just based off just one game.
Of course, for sure.
But I mean, it's definitely they're definitely looking much better than when we played them. Obviously, I mean, they had Spencer Rattler, at quarterback. But again, I mean, as you said already, Carter, it's a really weird division. Anything can happen. So I mean, I don't want to just count them out completely, but I'm still leaning on a battle between us and Atlanta, really, more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's the idea that it would be a 3-team race is maybe a bit far-fetched, but the Saints could turn it into a closer 2-team race than I think people are anticipating. And the Panthers, I mean, they're still the Panthers, but they beat the Giants this past weekend. That's not much to write home about. But then again, for the Panthers, that might be a big deal. So I don't know. I'm not saying that the Panthers are going to be super competitive. It's going to be a brawl or anything like that, but I think they're maybe on the up and up. I'm excited to see how Bryce Young can finish out the year. So I figured we'd take a little bit of a look around the division since the Bucs had a bye week, but more focusing on the Bucs themselves. Obviously, we talked about Dean and Mike Evans coming back. Zion is still being held out of practice. Zion McCollum, the other corner, which is a big concern because, well, you get Jamel Dean back. If you lose Zion, then that kind of negates the whole idea. So it's kind of a frustrating thing. But let's say that Dean, Zion, and Evans can be healthy and active for most of the remainder of the season. How big of a factor does that play into it, Mr. Tariq? I'll pose this question to you first, man. What are your thoughts on the health of Dean, Zion, and Evans, and how that affects the Bucs moving forward?
I mean, I'll probably say, first of all, Dean, and Dean and Zion need him healthy as possible just because, listen, I've never been super high on Dean, but he's much better than what we have as of right now. Much better. So for that reason, we need any help we can get. You know what I'm saying? Week by week, that's all I'm thinking in my head when I think about our DBs is, when are we going to get any sort of help? And when we do, it's just random dudes, and no big name or whatever, which, it's fine. Front office got to do their work or whatever. I'm sure there's a lot more behind that. But no, I'm very excited to see, Dean and Zion, back hopefully. And then, Evans is Evans. He's a game changer, of course. I'm excited to see what Liam Cohen, cooks up with Baker and the rest of the guys, and and how he wants to kind of incorporate Mike Evans once he's back now. But I'm not too concerned on that too much. I feel like we'll still be fine, whether Mike gets a couple reps in, whether he's 100% or not or something. We'll still be able to work something out. But defense, that's another story.
Yeah, absolutely. The Dean and Zion piece of it are certainly loom larger than the Evans piece of it for sure. But Mr. Blaine, how about you, man? What are your thoughts on Zion and Dean staying healthy? And if they do stay healthy, what do you think that means for the Bucs for the rest of the year?
I think that puts us right at mid-level defense, baby.
Hey.
I'm not as high on Zion as everyone else is. Apparently, I've seen him be beat more times than I want to see. I'm more so confused as to why we've been running so much with Hayes and Funderburk when we have guys like Dallas Flowers and Hill on the practice squad. Like, I would have expected us to at least get a look at one of them. Dallas Flowers has been on the practice squad for, I think, over a month now.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why we've not even remotely tried to see them. So do I think that Dean is an improvement over what we've got? Obviously, I enjoy watching Dean play football, but I don't know that necessarily fixes our problems if we get those two back.
Yeah, it might not fix any of the issues. They're not going to turn into a top flight defense or anything, but I don't know that they give up as many 30 pieces and 40 pieces as they have been.
Yeah, I could agree with that. And
if they aren't doing that, like, they're also playing weaker opponents. Like, these weaker opponents could make them look even better. So, I'm cautiously optimistic if both of them can stay healthy. If their pass rush cannot just be totally dormant and kind of have any sort of production whatsoever, which, especially against these Giants, we'll get into it. But I'm really excited to see what Todd Bowles schemes up for these Giants because they've got Tommy DeVito and everything. But that's for the second half of the episode. Y'all have to stick around for that. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how this defense can kind of bounce back coming off this bye week, getting healthy. Because deservedly so, they've been much maligned. Like, they have been sort of the villain of this Bucs season so far, and no disagreements. It's the truth, But hopefully that just means that big bounce back is coming, because they can't really get any worse. They'll probably try, but in my mind, at least, they can't really do any worse than they have.
Bowles just took that personal as a challenge. He's like,
sure, I'm sure, but for sure. But looking around the NFC, surprisingly, the Bucs are the only team that have beaten the Lions. That's crazy to think about, which is really funny. But the Lions are the favorites in the NFC right now, in my mind, at least. Maybe y'all disagree, but I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts. If, just kind of big picture from the rest of the conference, who do you have coming out of the NFC? And if it's not the Lions, then you got to convince me, because Man, they look really good right now. Mr. Blaine, I'll start with you, man. Who you got coming out of the NFC?
Yeah, you're not going to hear any convincing from me. I'm pretty sold on the Lions being the team out of the NFC.
Fair enough. And hey, the Bucs beat them. The Bucs defense held them to under 20 points.
Yeah.
With Zion and Dean healthy.
Do not know how.
That's because they had both cornerbacks healthy.
One of those wins where, like, when it happened, I wasn't as excited as I am now about it. So I'm like, it's the Lions. Like, they're a pretty decent team, but they're not great. Now I'm like, oh God, that win is looking much, much, much better.
For sure. And it's early in the season. The Lions were still figuring some stuff out, and they still got like almost 500 yards of total offense. So the defense didn't play great overall. They just really did a wonderful job, or they got really lucky in the red zone, which either way, you'll take it. But Mr. Tariq, how about you, man? Who do you think is coming out of the NFC? And if it's not the Lions, like I said, you gotta convince me why.
Yeah, I mean, I got to lean Lions, but if anything, I'll go. If anyone's going to give them any competition, it's the Eagles. I think the Eagles are looking much better than they were earlier this season.
Sure.
Especially the defense. Yeah, but I mean, I have to, guys. After thinking about this a little bit, I have to say, those first few games mean nothing to me anymore now. I mean, whether you're the Eagles, the Lions, you're a Bucs fan. It just, I mean, you said it yourself right now, Carter. Yeah, I think the Lions just need a little bit of time to kind of figure things out, and they still performed very well. We just somehow scraped away with the win, but I don't know. I think the Eagles are overall looking pretty darn good. I mean, hey, they got they got Saquon. They got Saquon, but I mean, I have to say I'm really loving their rookies, Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell. I mean, Quinion Mitchell has been locking these dudes down. I'm seeing memes now. Instead of St. Quentin prison, it's called St. Quinion prison. So yeah.
I remember somebody was really, really high on Cooper DeJean, and I think he would probably be doing wonders in Tampa right now.
Man, there's a lot of dudes who'd be doing wonders in Tampa right now.
But hey, if they don't draft Graham Barton, the offense isn't this good, and Bucky Irving isn't having this.
Probably not much worse though.
I think we disagree there, but anyways, I don't know. Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell, both really, really great cornerbacks. No disagreement there. They've been playing fantastic in Philly, and if the Bucs had traded up in the second round to get them, that would have been kind of fun. But that's neither here nor there. If we play the hypothetical game, what if they didn't draft Jameis Winston? What if they didn't draft Vernon Hargreaves? We can go on and on. So, but regardless, if you want not the Jameis Winston of apparel, but if you want the Tristan Wirfs of apparel, the really elite first round picks. We're talking, Mike Evans. Definitely head to shop.rblrsports.com. We've got some really fire gear there. Got, something for the Bucs fans, something for the Lightning fans, something for the Rowdies fans. So definitely, head there, check it out. We've got a promo code for you. That's Cannon, CANNONS. Type it in, get 10% off your entire order. We'll take care of you, especially heading into Christmas time. Maybe you're looking for a Christmas gift, but the sports are ratcheting it up. You need, got to show some support for your local team. So head on over there, check it out. We'd really appreciate it. But for the second half of the episode, it's Giants week. The New York Giants are playing the Bucs up in New York. So we'll see how that goes. But we want to start with looking at the Giants specifically because they've kind of been in the news all week, and it's never for anything good with the New York Giants, it seems like. And this week it's because they've benched Daniel Jones. They are moving on from him seemingly. It's purely financial, it seems like. It really has nothing to do with his level of play because with all due respect to Tommy DeVito, he's not very good either. There's injury guarantees in Jones's contract, so they're benching him so that he doesn't get hurt. They're having him run safety in practices. I don't know. It's a really weird situation. What are y'all's thoughts on Daniel Jones getting benched? Do you really think that Tommy DeVito is going to be any better? I don't know, Mr. Tariq, how about you, man? What do you think on this Daniel Jones benching situation?
I don't know what to say. I mean, I have to say benching Daniel Jones for DeVito or really anyone, even for a piece of crap, really makes sense given how bad the offense has been. I mean, he hasn't been consistent. The offensive line is playing poorly. Coaching staff probably figures out, they need to try something new. And, so I don't think they're expecting DeVito, to be a savior, but maybe they just want a fresh face. I guess that's what it is. It's kind of a bold move. A lot of pressure on DeVito. And I have to say, it's interesting to see that they got Daniel Jones as a third stringer as of right now as well. So, it's just a very unfortunate situation. I mean, as as an opponent, I mean, it makes me very happy to see how of a horrible job the whole organization is doing. I mean, I hate to see it, but then again, I mean, this is how it is. So yeah, if he's not showing up, then simple as that. But yeah, I think he deserves it. And I think the Giants are just saying, they're just going to close their eyes and just hope for the best at this point. It's like putting a small, thin layer of a paper towel over a 12-foot dirty puddle. It's
Yeah.
better than nothing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It'll clean up something. I don't know
It'll
how
clean up
much, but it'll do something.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's brutal. It's nasty. It's tough to see a team like this struggle because there are some talented players on this team, like Dexter
Mhm.
Lawrence, one of the best defensive tackles in football. Brian Burns, one of the best pass rushers. Malik Neighbors is really, really good. He's doing this well with a really awful quarterback situation. I'd love to see what he could do with an actual like NFL starting quarterback. That'd be cool. But it'll just be so funny when they spend another first round pick on a quarterback, and in 3 years we're having the same conversation about, oh man, they had to bench Shedeur Sanders or Carson Beck or whoever they spend it on, because they just clearly don't know how to build a team around a quarterback. It's not saying Daniel Jones is good or anything, like not disagreeing with that point, but yeah, it's just been kind of pathetic to watch them turn their wheels, just spin their wheels, not really go anywhere. So it's tough to see. But Mr. Blaine, how about you, man? You got to come in and join in on this Giants crap fest because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the exact opposite of what Musab said. I don't think it's a close your eyes and hope for the best. They are in full tank mode.
Yeah, and they're in full not trying to pay Daniel Jones any more money mode.
They skipped over Drew Lock, who don't get me wrong. Yep, I agree, Hazel. They skipped over Drew Lock, who, while he might not be a great quarterback, he's better than DeVito. And to me, this is just going, hey, we are throwing in the towel, hoping to get pick number 1. That way we don't have to trade up to get. I'm going to venture to say it's going to be Shedeur, which I think is a huge mistake. Anyway, we'll get into that in the offseason. But this is full on like the typical, hey, we're calling it, you guys. We tried. Sorry to all of our experienced good guys. You guys are going to take another L this season, but for the young guns, you'll be around next season when we have a different quarterback, so maybe we'll play good. Like it reeks of Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I remember a few years ago when Doug Peterson was still the coach of the Eagles, they had that situation where they kept switching between Nate Sudfeld and I forget who the other quarterback was. It might have been Jalen Hurts, but yeah, it's so glaringly obvious. The Texans did it a few years ago with Lovie Smith, and Lovie Smith kind of gave the metaphorical middle finger to the organization. Was like, no, I'm not losing this game.
And I loved it. Won the last game of the season.
For sure. Fantastic. If the butterfly effect is so beautiful too, because then do they draft Caleb Williams if they do? I don't know. There's just so many different, I don't know, so many different aspects of it that could be thought about. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they draft Bryce Young. Maybe we're talking about Bryce Young on the Houston Texans instead of CJ Stroud. But yeah, anyways, I'm really, really not thrilled with what the Giants have been doing. I'm going to be even less excited about what they continue to do because I hate openly tanking. It's just a gross strategy, makes a mockery of everyone who spends money on the sport. It's horrible for all involved. So, no good luck to them. I hope that they win a few games. I hope that they screw up another draft pick, and it's a New York team. So even more reason to be excited. But getting to the Bucs because they're playing the Giants this week. It's not just the Giants. So, and some more positive stuff because we've been kind of negative for the past few minutes, just absolutely dogpiling on the Giants. Since the Giants are so horrible, since they only have 2 or 3 wins, I don't even remember. There are some favorable matchups for the Bucs. There's some ways that they could take advantage of this Giants team. So, Mr. Blaine, I'll throw it right back at you, my man. What's something that you look at in this Giants matchup that you're like, wow, I'm really excited to see how the Bucs can take advantage of this?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be Bucky Irving in the run game against this the whole Giants defense, in my opinion. As much as we love Dexter Lawrence and we talk about how good he is, this defense has given up 140 yards a game. I think it's top 5 worst in the league. And their pass defense is actually pretty solid. I think they're in the top 5 of pass defense. They're giving up 184 yards. So I think it's going to be, as much as it's going to be awesome having Evans back, I think we're not going to see a full load of Mike Evans and this receiving core, because I think the run game has to be important in this game with how poor that defense is.
Yeah, I mean, and just to piggyback off of that, like they're second to last in EPA per rush allowed or estimated points added per rush allowed. Every metric you can think of, they're bad. So yeah, Bucky Irving, the interior Bucs offensive line, excuse me. That should be a lot of fun to watch them just go to work and do their thing. So yeah, absolutely, I'm with you. Bucky Irving, if you got him on your fantasy team, start him, or if you got Rachaad White, because both of them could eat. This could be very much an all-you-can-eat buffet in this case. So my favorite matchup for the Bucs is definitely going to be Vea and Kalijah Kancey versus a very strange Giants interior offensive line. They're also dealing with a Giants backfield that's really weird. Like they signed Devin Singletary in the offseason, and he's already lost his starting job. With Tommy DeVito at quarterback, they don't exactly have to lighten up the box. They can kind of load up the box and do whatever they want on defense. So I'm pretty excited to see if Vea and Kancey can eat. But Mr. Treek, how about you, man? Who are your favorable matchups that you're looking at for this Bucs Giants game?
Those are probably the only two favorable matchups that I can think of for the top of my head. Everything else is not in our favor. It's going to be more of a spicy matchup, really, if anything. So yeah, I mean, I'm really, really excited to see what Bucky cooks up, and I mean, even Rachaad White. And then yeah, same thing. I mean, our D line needs to do something. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we got to be more just present out there. So it's not just Vea and Kancey that I'm looking forward to. I want to see, the rest of our pass rushers out there trying to wreak havoc, trying to just do anything they can, to shake up that Giants offensive line, and especially Tommy DeVito. You know what I'm saying? But I want to know though is, we've been talking favorable matchups. Do you have any kind of, spicy or concerning matchups?
I don't know. Malik Neighbors is going to be tough. I mean, he's really good, but at the same time, like Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson don't inspire a lot of fear in my heart. So I'll be really interested to see how Bowles and this defensive staff sort of schemes up ways to focus on just slowing down Neighbors and containing him, and just letting Darius Slayton drop a few passes and Wan'Dale Robinson get swallowed up by whoever's guarding or wherever he ends up on the field. So yeah, I'm really interested in that matchup. It's going to be, like you said, kind of spicy. I don't know if it's favorable for the Bucs, but it's also not really favorable for the Giants because he's their only wideout right now, really, that you can really call an NFL caliber wideout. So yeah, that's gonna be certainly really interesting. But how about you?
Yeah,
Mr.
what about you?
Yeah,
what about you, Zach?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it earlier, but I think an interesting, spicy / maybe a little scary on our end is the pass defense for the Giants. I know we're getting Evans back, but Evans might not be 100%, and even if he is, I don't want to see. And I know that in interviews this week, Baker has touched on, like, we can't force feed Mike Evans the ball. We can't force feed anybody the ball in this offense. But I think saying that and then getting out and showing me you're not going to force feed Mike Evans, because we're all thinking, he needs 95 yards a game to
right to get to 1,000.
Right. So it's, as much as we can all sit here and go, yeah, don't force feed Mike Evans, I want them to force feed Mike Evans.
Of course,
I want him to get the record,
It's easier to say that in theory than to actually.
Yeah, exactly. And when you have one of the best wide receivers of all time on the Bucs, like, you want to see him get the ball. So I do think that there's going to be some issues we got to work through, and this might not be the best pass defense to do it on.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that even if they struggle throwing the ball, like you mentioned before, I think they're going to have little to no issue running the ball. Yeah. And the Bucs have turned what was a really big weakness last year into a strength almost. Like, I'm kind of scared, but like, yeah, running the ball, that's what the Bucs do now. Like, it's crazy to think that, like, they went from being a bottom three, bottom of the league team in that regard to now, like, hey, you got to pay attention to Bucky Irving, Rachaad White, Sean Tucker. This interior offensive line is fantastic. So it's been really fun to watch that, and I think that that's just going to play a huge factor into whether the Bucs win or lose. If they can run over 100 yards against the Giants, I don't think it becomes much of a contest. I think the Bucs are going to run away with it, which the Bucs have been doing kind of a lot recently. Like, they're averaging, I think, over 100 yards rushing a game, if I'm not mistaken. So, things could go pretty well.
Yeah, our offense has been our offense is putting the team on its back. It's really the defense that I'm worried about. I mean, the two big things I'm worried about is, I mean, you already kind of fired it up, and I feel like he's the elephant in the room, which is Malik Neighbors. I mean, he's an absolute stud. And, I'll tell you this, guys, because, I really am worried about Malik Neighbors cooking us up. But I'm only going to say this because I was actually able to get some stats. I got this from Reception Perception, so I want to give them a shout out. And what I'm actually most scared for is Malik Neighbors' curl and slant routes, because 45% of the routes he runs are those, and he's about 95% successful on those routes. And the only thing I'm thinking, though, is in my head is, okay, does he, keep on cooking those deep ball passes or those catches? Maybe not. I don't know. But what I'm kind of scared about is just somehow Tommy DeVito and the rest of these guys find a way to grind out those third downs. It's third and 10, boom. You got Neighbors, hitting you with that slant route. You know what I'm saying? Boom. Now it's a first down again. And, guys, this is, we all know that this has been happening in the past over and over again, especially the good quarterbacks. They keep on, exhausting our defense. And that's the big thing I'm worried about, along with what you mentioned, Zach, I'm scared about, their D-line as well. They got Azeez Ojulari and Brian Burns, both with 6 sacks, and then they got Dexter Lawrence with 9. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Wirfs, the news as of right now is Wirfs he's not playing, is he?
I think he's participating. He's limited in his participation.
Yeah, so
okay, limited.
Confirmed whether or not. I'd imagine they'll play it safe and he won't play.
Yeah, that's my prediction.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because then the thing is, it's going to be a battle between Brian Burns and Justin School. That's the one I'm looking at. He
held his own against Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
Again, I said he held Bosa to 1 sack. Like that's pretty impressive.
Yes, that's all right.
To clarify, we are at 125.3 rushing yards per game right now.
125.3. Yep. I think that last year they were at 70, weren't they?
Yeah, we were, I believe, the lowest in the league last year.
Yeah, so that's a 50-yard increase over a year. I know Bucky Irving's great, but that's not just Bucky. You know what I'm saying?
No, agreed. And I think Bucky Irving is at 492 yards over 10 games. So he's averaging 49 yards a game.
Right.
So
yeah.
That's Bucky, Rashad, Baker. Some of those come from
Sean Tucker for sure.
Sean Tucker too. And why am I blanking on his name right now? Oh my God. Oklahoma teammates with Baker.
Oh, Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard had a few big runs. It's everything. It's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Cohen's been really creative. There can be it's multitudes. There can be multiple reasons for something improving.
Graham Barton he's improved it
for sure. Absolutely, Graham Barton's a huge part of the reason why that's improved, as well as all the other reasons that we've listed. But Mr. Treek, I love the mention of Neighbors and his route tree sort of just being what it is, because the Bucs run a lot of cover 3 and. Man, slant and curls that could kill cover 3. That is certainly something to watch for.
I think curls are going to be the bigger issue with the blanket that we give them off the line. I mean, we line up 10 yards off the line almost all the time.
For sure, so, they hate to press at any point. Which I
Neighbors a big game.
Yeah, I do anticipate Neighbors getting a big game, but at the same time, if he's the only. If he's the only game in town,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, you gotta let him eat for sure. So there's still a world where Malik Neighbors has over 100 receiving yards and the Bucs still win this game handily. That could happen. I'm concerned obviously because Malik Neighbors really great, but also Tommy DeVito, kind of the right for sure, not as great, famously. So there's certainly some different facets of it to focus on moving forward, and we'll see how it all plays out this Sunday. But we're nearing the end of our episode. Before we do, we got a couple of segments left. First, we got over-unders. Mr. Tariq, hit us with them.
Yes, sir. All right, the first one. I got K. Dotton, total receptions over under 5.5.
Ooh. Okay.
I'll start us off. I'm hammering the over on that.
Ooh, really?
I know Evans is back, and I think that's going to play a big role in Otton actually being more open, because I think the focus is, even with him coming off injury, I think the focus will be on Evans in the run game.
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna say over as well, but I don't know if I'd hammer it. Like if I were a betting man, I probably would stay away from this, just because I don't know, with Evans back and with the running game being what it is, Liam Cohen's offense, he's managed to get Otten open a lot, or Otten's managed to get open a lot as well. Either one of those could be true, but I don't know. I think 5.5. It's a tough line because the Giants also have a decent linebacking group, like Bobby O'Keefe, I believe, is their starting middle linebacker. He does a pretty nice job out there. So maybe the Bucs lean a little bit more on the run game. Maybe they lean a little bit more on Mike Evans and Sterling Shepard. But yeah, I'll say over, but not uber confidently like Mr. Blaine. I'll say over, but not comfortably or confidently.
Right on. No, I got you. Okay, well, yeah, I'm probably gonna go. I'm probably gonna go over. I'm not gonna hammer it if I were a betting man, but yeah, I think he'll be able to, get. I'll probably say 6.
Yeah.
It just, I have to say though, I mean, this one is just interesting. Tight end props are always just so interesting.
Yeah,
they're
honestly,
weird.
they're like a big hit or miss because some of these.
With me saying I'm hammering it, I also would like to clarify I'm not betting on this. On that. Hypothetically, monopoly money in my hand, I'm hammering it over. Like my real money, I'm not even going to risk it.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I feel you.
Yeah, I would never put my money on it. Yeah. All right. And then the next one I have is total rushing yards by Baker Mayfield. Over under 13.5.
Wow, this is a crazy. Oh man, betting on Baker rushing yards. If you're doing this, please, there's a hotline.
Let me know how successful you've been, and I would like to copy some of your plays because
if this is a play that you're going, and if it hits, good for you. But I'm gonna go under, but like it's one of those things where like I have no idea, like because he could get like a 20-yard rush and bam, it's done.
Exactly.
So. But at the same time, like he could also not rush for any yards whatsoever, or he could run for negative yards because they run some weird read option or something. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna go under, but not like it's one of those. This is a good this is a good line because I have no idea. Like I'll probably say under, but good Lord, I have no conviction behind that whatsoever.
Yeah. For the exact reason we talked about with Wirfs probably being out, I'm going over.
Ooh, that's a good point.
That's my only reason. I think as much as I love Baker, he does get happy feet sometime.
Especially without a left tackle. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
that's a good point.
I see him probably trying to scramble out. Maybe sometimes he doesn't need to. So I'm going to go over, and I do think that it's on a couple of I don't want to say big runs, but 5-6 yard runs to get there. So I've got faith that he's going to go over.
Yeah, he does love to pull the rabbit out of the hat and try to scramble for a first down and, make him macho and all that stuff. And then it's like, all right, dude.
I might even put real money on that one, if I'm being honest with you.
Wow.
Now that I think about it.
God bless you. Good luck to you. Have fun.
It caught my eye because I, in my opinion, I think it's kind of low. But I mean, QB rushing props again are like a hit or miss. And I mean, I chose these on purpose to make them a little bit interesting. I didn't want to just go like buggy over, under, or
we say it's low, but there's people that do this for a living.
Right. Yeah.
Low, which is what scares me about betting. Because I'm like, oh,
right. Yeah. They're not doing this. They're not setting these money lines because they know they're going to lose money.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite over under we've done all year.
That was a good one. That was a really good one. I liked that a lot. Yeah. Baker
these are real lines. I mean, I just pulled these on Bovada, for example.
For sure.
So these aren't ones I just made up.
Don't even tell people that.
Yeah,
that was a great couple of over-unders you made up, brother. I'm impressed.
Indeed, that was really creative. You really flexed your creative muscles. Anyways, now we got to our predictions. Unless you got another over/under, Mr. Treek.
No, that's all I got.
That's all you got. All right, that's all she wrote. So we've got predictions to finish out the episode. I'm gonna start us off. I got the Bucs winning this one. I'll say 28-10. I don't think it's going to be much of a game. It might be kind of boring. But even if things get a little interesting or a little hairy, I still expect the Bucs to come out on top. If they don't, there's going to be some serious conversations next week. And it's not going to be a super fun episode. But what y'all got for predictions? Mr. Treek, I'll start with you, man. Who you got winning and by how much?
I'm going 31-17. Buccaneers win. I mean, I think our defense, it's going to be a little bit up and down just because, that's our defense. But I think we'll still be able to get a comfortable win, and I think our offense will be able to get the job done for sure.
Sweet. Yeah, I feel you. The defense might leak a little bit, but it's also Tommy DeVito. It's the New York Giants. So it's tough to really pin too much or give them too much credit, even with the Bucs defense struggling as much as it has been. Mr. Blaine, how about you, man? Who you got winning? Maybe you're going to surprise us all and pick the Giants. I don't know.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
No, I can't do that. I've got Tampa winning 34-24. I think that I don't think it's a blowout win by us. I think we put up a good amount of points. But I also I can't get out of my head Spencer Rattler putting up numbers on us when they played. So I think Rattler is a better quarterback than DeVito, but I don't think he's that much better than DeVito, if that makes sense. So
For sure.
I see our defense giving up a little bit. I don't think it's enough to even make it a close game, but I don't think it's a blowout.
Yeah, and I will say, with the Spencer Rattler stuff, that was such a weird game for everyone involved. And giving up 26 or 27 points, however many they gave up to the Saints, yeah, not a great look when you got a backup quarterback in there. But at the same time, the offense, I think Baker threw a pick or two in that second because it was all in the second quarter.
Yeah,
so it was a weird game. I'm gonna it was a win. You can throw it in the trash, but I will grant you, it's the Bucs defense. They can make coals into diamonds. So we'll have to see how it plays out for sure. But I'm glad we're all in agreement. We think the Bucs are going to win. Hopefully we're all right, and we're coming back at you next week talking about a Bucs victory, because that would be a lot more fun than what else could happen. So hopefully we're coming back at you next week with some positive news. But even if not, we'll still be coming at you with some great content. And if you're looking to keep up with it, you can definitely give us a like or a subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. You can also give us a follow at RBLR Bucs or at RBLR Sports. We've got some great stuff across all the channels.
We're on Blue Sky now.
What's that?
We're on Blue Sky now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're on Blue Sky as well. Thank you, Mr. Blaine. Look at that. We got some follow. We got a pretty solid following over there on Blue Sky as well. So definitely check us out there too. I don't remember the exact. We'll have to incorporate that into our outros moving forward. But because I can't remember the username off the top of my head. But it's at RBLR Sports, and then there's a weird Blue Sky thing at the end that I can't remember. But regardless, we really appreciate y'all for tuning in. I much love to my co-hosts as well for making my job much easier. And as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.